Welcome to Timesink, the weekly podcast to let you know what's worth sinking your time into. I'm your host, Sauce, and I'm joined by Mr. Hummer.
What's going on?
And Brad.
Now with more video.
We got a great show for you this week. It's our first video episode. So now you get to see
two thumbs.
You get to see all this and all that. Sorry. But we got a great episode for you this week. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about Hummer finally checked out Palm Springs. We're going to talk about Remember Me for some reason.
Don't hate on it.
We're going to talk about the Marvel Avengers demo. We're going to talk about DCU animated movies, Magic Camp the movie, anime on Netflix like Seven Deadly Sins and Canon Buster. But before we get into all that, we're going to let you know what we thought about all the DC news coming out this week. So stick around. We got a great episode. But before we get into all that, round two, because I forgot to record the first time, I wanted to ask you guys what you thought about all the DC movie announcements and the DC stuff that's coming out. So Hummer, now that you've had a chance, I know, to see the Batman trailer, are you excited for the new Batman movie?
Rare is it in life that you get a second shot at redemption. Here it is.
Wait,
yes.
Don't you need a first shot out to a failure to have a redemption shot? That was like redundant as hell.
What do you mean? I did have the first shot at failure. It just Frank failed harder.
But then you said a second redemption.
Yeah,
so
second shot at redemption.
First shot at redemption?
Yeah.
Just
Whatever.
give it to him.
Jesus.
Just give it to him.
All right. We're going to talk about this week, blah, blah, blah.
I'm
Here's
cutting
your
that
second shot at
part.
redemption.
No, I'm excited about the Batman trailer. I saw it. It's a little gritty. God, this is so hard to talk about the second time. Because it's like knowing what you guys said, I want to play off of it, but it's...
Go ahead. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's all fresh at this point.
I know you can edit
Just
it.
steal everything we said, and we have to come up with new stuff.
No, I just watched it. I liked it. I thought it was taking it kind of in that Joker-esque, incredibly dark route. When I'm looking at the first three Batman movies, those were already dark movies in them of themselves. But you kind of saw Batman in that one, not really grasping with the moral quandary of Batman, and he's, he always was going to be good. He was always going to be, the hero that you need, type of deal. And it just seems like in this one, they're showing Batman's wrestling more with the do I want to be Batman? At least that's the portrayal I got from looking at the clip and just seeing kind of the darkness that's surrounding. It's almost like it's focusing on Batman's choice of do I want to continue to actually be Batman? Where I think in the first three movies you knew he wanted to be Batman, and even towards the end, getting out of it, I think if his knees weren't gone, he was still Batman.
What'd you think, Brad?
I just think we see the same thing with every DC movie that's come out, where the first couple initial things are sound great. It always sounds good on paper, but then the more they reveal to us, the worse it tends to look. That first teaser I saw, Birds of Prey, I thought it looked great, and then everything after looked terrible. The same thing with Suicide Squad. I mean, don't you think 1984 at this point looks kind of bad?
I don't think it's going to be great, like the first one was.
Just the first time you saw her lasso a lightning bolt, you were like, dope. But now they've showed it every time, and it looks worse and more ridiculous. And why is Chris Pine's character alive? It's some big freaking mystery that doesn't make any sense to me.
Because he sells movie tickets. That's the
answer. See, this is the problem with DC, man. In their movies, they have so much good source material with their animation department and with their comic book department. And for some reason, the movies never seem to use that material. It's like they've gotten writers and directors that are like, So we get that all that's good. But I think that I can do something better. And they've proven time and time again they can't.
It's like, I've never read a Batman comic, but I think I can make a better story.
Well, I mean, we talked about this before.
Indie films, but now I'm ready to do a big budget superhero movie after never reading a comic book ever in my life. That's what happened with Captain Marvel too. Like, I just think that there's like the choice of director and the studio not getting involved is huge always. Like, and that's what we're seeing with James Gunn's Suicide Squad, where it looks like they put a lot of trust in him to make a good movie, and he is going to do whatever he can to follow through, you know?
Well, I think we talked about this before. It's DC has a lack of vision for what they want to do with the franchise as a whole, where, you know, we talked about Marvel Phase 1, going into Marvel Phase 2, Marvel Phase 3. You're not hearing DC Phase 1. This is what we're going to do. We're going to introduce, you know, these 3 Batman movies. These are going to be the first of the canonical DC universe, moving into introducing the other superheroes into this universe. It's kind of just like throw a movie out, throw a movie out, throw a movie out. And maybe we'll all connect them somehow through a Justice League that makes no sense with anything that's happened in the past.
Here's the thing.
Well, you know what?
They do lay it out like that, but then they are constantly changing directors, casting people because people drop out of their movies. Directors are blaming studios for getting too involved, so they're losing. Just like they have top-down problems.
Yeah, DC's blowing it on an overall production standpoint. But the Batman movie specifically, I said this the first time when I forgot to press record, and I'm going to say it again. We already got a Batman movie that they went in and said, we're going to make it a dark Batman movie. We're going to make it gritty. We're going to make it real. They already did that with Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Now they're doing it again. Well, this time it's going to be darker and grittier and more real. Like that stupid Challenger. With that stupid Challenger Batmobile. Whatever the car is.
Yeah, it looks bad.
I mean, what do you expect them to do though? Do you want them to go back? Do you want to go backwards? And do you want them to go back to, like, you know, Jack Nicklaus era Joker and just like, ha 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 ha, Batman's funny again? Or like, you know, like what are we wanting them to really do?
I want them to base it off of the source material of the comics. You know, like Batman can be realistic without just making him. I mean, it's a comic book character. They don't need to make it that realistic. Obviously,
he
Batman
still needs to be
flies
a
from
superhero.
rooftops. Yeah, it's the story, right? It needs to have a good story. I'm just not excited about it. I'm not excited about Robert Pattinson's Batman. It doesn't seem like or look like a Bruce Wayne. I'm not saying he's a bad actor, but I just like it's not at all filling that Bruce Wayne role for me. The Riddler, I'm sure, is going to be a stupid on-screen villain. We're going to just have to deal with his stupid riddles the whole movie. I don't know. I'm not excited for the direction it's going. I'd rather see Ben Affleck's Batman movie because I liked Ben Affleck as Batman.
The best thing we've gotten from the Riddler so far is that the internet has already solved one of his riddles that they put in the trailer. Yeah, someone was basically like, oh, that's my grandpa's old riddle.
I do have to admit, though, Jim Carrey is probably like one of the greatest riddlers. But it's like,
I'll give you that.
I get what you guys are saying. Here's the thing with Batman. The story's been told so many times. Like, you know, I think one of the YouTube comments, one of the very first YouTube comments, and I know it's not Reddit. I guess you can't upload it. It says, this looks like a Batman who's watched his parents die as many times as we did. You know, it's a story that's been told over and over and over again. So it's like they're just trying to find new ways of telling it. And when they first started telling the story, you were in an era of cinema where it really wasn't okay to have as much violence or detailed violence as you have today. So it's like every iteration of Batman gets a little bit more violent, a little bit more realistic. You know, old Batman, pow, boom, chang, bang. You know,
well, here's a concept, though. Like, we already know his origin. Why? How about skip telling us again? They did it with Peter Parker and Spider-Man. We didn't see Uncle Ben die again, and it was beautiful. They could do the same thing with Batman, like you said earlier, where he has already faced all of his villains. He has plans for them if they ever attack. He has plans for if any of his superhero friends go AWOL. He has plans if mysticism happens or if doomsday arrives or whatever. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, where's that Batman?
That's the Batman I want to see.
We need to see.
Plus, like, I'm sick of these standalone Batman movies. Batman lives in a world with Superman and the Flash, you know. Let's see that world. Even though they don't have to be a big part of the movie, that's the world that he lives in. Like, stop giving me these crappy, ultra-realistic Batman movies.
He does kind of have like a stay the F out of Gotham vibe in the comics and in the cartoon series. It's like Gotham's my business and my business alone.
Yeah, but even just him in Gotham, he's got really cool villains that they can mess with. Not one we've seen already. And he's got a Bat family. He's got Batgirl, Batwoman, Robin, his son Damian Wayne. They've got Nightwing. There's so many things they could draw on.
I mean, the Batman universe in and of itself
and
is
people
gigantic.
who've tried to take the cowl in the comics. There have been other characters who have been like, I want to be the next you, and he always is like, no, you can't be me because I'm the only me.
You say that to me
Except
all the time.
for Batman Beyond.
What you guys don't
I also
know
say that about
is that
Tigger.
Brad is Batman.
All right. Enough about Batman. So other than not being excited about the Batman movie, what I am excited for is the Suicide Squad movie because it's James Gunn. He's an amazing director. The cast is insane. There's tons of people. It looks like it's going to be a fantastic movie. What do you guys think?
The first one was underrated, in my opinion. I thought the first one was awesome. So
Sorry, what?
Jesus.
Come on, it's a bad movie.
It's not a good movie.
It's entertaining. I just care about entertaining. There's no, like, DC hasn't, like I said before, they haven't come up with this universal plan to tie all these movies together. So I watch each movie in a vacuum and decide, was I entertained? I was entertained. That's all I can say about it. So I'm looking even more forward to being entertained. Plus, Margaret Robbie is just fuck.
Explain.
Details?
What do you mean?
She's probably one of the hottest actresses in Hollywood. You know, not just from a talent perspective, but from a talent perspective. I mean, she's one of those girls, like, I was watching Wolf of Wall Street, and my wife's jaw was dropped to the ground in that one scene where she just comes out of the bedroom. It's like, hello.
Your wife, she made her question some things about herself?
I think it did.
But other than that, it still looks like it's going to be an amazing movie.
Some of the villains that James Gunn chose are like deep in DC lore too. Like, they're so obscure. It's insane. Like, Pete Davidson's character is really obscure. Nathan Fillion's character was even DC used him as a throwaway. He was like that guy that showed up to an audition that everybody laughed at because all he can do is detach his arms and beat people with them. And that's, which is amazing that he convinced Nathan Fillion to play a role like that, because that's what Nathan Fillion does for James Gunn movies most of the time. And I mean, when I was looking into some of these characters, it was pretty funny to see that almost all of them, if they died at some point, which some of them have died multiple times, they almost have always died by their head getting popped off at some point, whether it's by the detonation device in the neck or some other bad guy just popping their heads off. I don't know why that's a thing.
Very specifically, all the minorities very quickly die in the first movie.
In the first one, yeah.
Not a fan of that.
But you know, we got Rick Flag coming back, who was, I mean, he was okay in the first one. I mean,
I like that actor. I like Joel Kinnaman.
Like Margot Robbie was fine. I mean, she definitely created an image for Harley Quinn that's going to be the future of the DC. I know that like the animated Harley Quinn, that's a little bit more adult right now, is really popular. I see clips of it all the time on the internet. But like, she created a very iconic image, and I think they'll stick with that for a long time. And I mean, I thought Will Smith was okay in the first one, but it was just like entertaining to watch Will Smith be himself as a villain. But like
have
that's
you
all
ever
it
had
really
like
was.
an actor that's too big to like play a part? Like I almost feel like Will Smith is right on that part where like Will Smith is not believable as a superhero.
He did Hancock. You didn't think Hancock was all right? It wasn't a great movie, but the idea of the superhero was great.
No, I mean like I'm talking about.
I wish
like,
they would make
like
Superman
a comic book. Like when
Hancock.
you have like 5 other people surrounding you in a movie, and you're just Will Smith, and like you grew up just knowing every character he's played is like Will Smith, and then Will Smith always like imagine Will. Let's play the game from the movies and things in book, and let's say Will Smith as Iron Man. But
I wish we could live in a universe where he played Neo, because he was the original actor for Neo over Keanu.
I'm so glad we got Keanu and the revolution of Keanu.
We're all glad that happened, but don't you want to see
the remake of the Matrix? The remake of the Matrix right now with Will Smith, is Will Smith too big to play Neo?
No.
Because Neo's this like guy who's supposed to be like he's not bigger than life when they find him.
He might be too sad because of his divorce.
It's because Suicide Squad is an ensemble movie. That's why he's too big for it. You know.
Sure.
I guess that's what I'm trying. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to articulate. Is it too big because it's an ensemble movie? There's so many characters around, and you're fucking Will Smith, one of the biggest movie stars on the planet.
And that was one of the movie's problems. They focused on his story too much instead of developing all the characters.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
that's what happens when you spend millions and millions of dollars to get Will Smith. You don't really have enough money and resources to, do the other characters justice. So they just kill off all the minority characters, except for Will Smith.
You sound bitter.
The black guy left.
All right. So Suicide Squad, though, the second one under James Gunn, looks like it's going to be great. Moving on. Have you guys seen the trailer for the new Justice League Snyder cut?
I didn't watch the trailer, but like obviously I've been keeping up to date with the news on it because I want to see it. I mean, at least they say it's that much better. I really have pretty low expectations for how much better it is than the original movie, just because the original movie was so forgettable is the word I'm going to use.
I'm interested. I think the cast of the Justice League is like perfect. Like it's an almost perfect cast. So I really want to see a good Justice League movie.
But Ezra Miller,
I was gonna say that's the only thing. Like they could have definitely got a better Flash. But Cyborg is perfect. They nailed Cyborg.
Yeah, sure.
They reimagined Aquaman. Jason Momoa made that character sweet.
Dude, Aquaman is amazing, and I don't care how like bad people say that movie is. I'm obsessed with the Aquaman movie.
It's not bad.
It's like
it's not great.
Yeah,
it's like in my mind, it's almost like Zoolander good. Or like Zoolander, the first time you watched it, it's like, oh, this is awful. Second time you watch it, like, this is weird. Third time you watch it, like, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life.
You had very different experiences with Zoolander.
I'm just thinking of the gasoline fight.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing from the
first jitterbug.
From like right off the bat.
The jitterbug.
That movie's amazing.
So I don't want to spend a lot of time on the Snyder cut, but I just want to say that the director's cut of Batman versus Superman didn't make it that much better, and it's still a terrible movie. So I'm interested to see all the changes and what Zack Snyder's ultimate vision was going to be, and hopefully it makes it better. But I'm not holding my breath.
When do we get Aquaman 2?
Hummer's asking the real questions.
Oh, they're saying James Wan says it's going to be a little more serious. I don't want serious Aquaman.
You just said you wanted a more serious Batman.
Yeah, but Aquaman, no. That's what I love about him. He's a goofy guy.
He wants the green tights and the orange top weird thing that he wore. He wants him to ride air dolphins into battle.
I want
air dolphins.
I want man beaters, He-Man woman haters. Yeah.
What?
Why can't I think of
that was a Little Rascals reference.
Oh, okay. I don't let my wife watch anything with Jason Momoa in it because it makes me too self-conscious about myself.
I thought you were gonna say it makes her too hard. She gets too hard.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Same thing.
I was actually making a reference to Amber Heard, who
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
She won't ever work again.
Yeah. That. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. She's a terrible human being.
She's
Moving
kind of
on.
a terrible person.
yeah. I was looking forward to more of her in Aquaman 2, but it's okay.
What if they get Margot Robbie, bro?
I'm in. Harley Quinn. Under the
Sold.
sea. Under the sea.
All right. Moving on. Hummer, you checked out some stuff this week. Want to let us know if it's worth sinking your time into?
I think you guys already talked about this one. I watched Palm Springs, which, I mean, frankly, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was one of the coolest ways to do a Groundhog's Day type movie, where it's not like he learned like this altruistic like thing about himself. It wasn't about like learning a lesson. It wasn't about like you have to do this to break the cycle. Like they ultimately ended it with science.
Yeah, I do love how they get out of the time loop. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, but I just thought it was really cool the way they did. I thought it was absolutely hysterical. I started watching with my wife, and she actually was like not into it at all. So I was like, fine, if you're not into this, I'm turning it off. We'll just get drunk, and I'll watch it later. And so I stayed up after she went to bed to finish it. And then I also watched another movie, and you guys.
Well, wait, what are you gonna give it?
Oh, I'm giving it a 4.5.
Ooh, all right.
I was like sat there watching on in the trailer and thinking, I really want to watch this. I really want to watch this, and finally did, and I did not. Was upset I didn't watch it sooner because I think it has some rewatchability to it. I think you could rewatch it and get away with it. But quickly before we move on, I watched another one. It's a heartbreaker. Older movie. We're passing 10 years. It's called Remember Me with your favorite Batman, Robert Pattinson.
I'm leaving this episode.
All I think about when I hear Remember Me is that Futurama episode where Bender builds a giant pyramid of himself that just says, Remember Me. So, yeah. So Robert Pattinson's movie's ruined by Bender being amazing.
I would actually say this is a good movie to pull the old girlfriend or the old wife to, and
or both.
Just the old one.
Yeah, it's just not the new one. It actually had some. It was like it was more of like a drama romance, not like a rom-com in any way, shape, or form. It had a really, yeah, but it had a unique storyline to it.
What's it about? I don't remember.
Basically, it's about a kid who doesn't get along with his dad. His dad's like uber wealthy. He doesn't really get along with his dad. His dad's like kind of out of the picture in a sense, but he always needs to kind of come back to his dad. And the story is really like going on his transformation from like this like kind of self-absorbed person into like a good person. And I really can't give away the ending at all because it's such like a probably about like 15 minutes before the movie ends or 10 minutes before the movie ends, you start thinking about something. And then like when the moment that it clicks of what's going on, you're just like, oh shit. Like the emotional roller coaster kicks in and the floor just drops out from under you watching this movie. Like, it's highly worth a watch. I'm giving it at least a 3.
At the end, does he remember the person he's supposed to remember?
I can't say anything about the end.
Right.
I mean, that would be a spoiler.
With this one in particular, because the ending is so poignant, it's just there. Like, you literally start thinking about stuff that's happening during the movie as you get towards the end, and you're just like you cover your mouth in disbelief of what's about. Like, you know what's about to happen, and you're so in disbelief that this is how it's going to end.
That actually makes me want to check it out.
Yeah, it's worth it.
So Hummer, you tried? So Hummer, you tried out the Avengers Beta. How was it?
So the gameplay, I can see it being very fun when you're playing with a team, when you're playing with your friends. I think it's going to be awesome to play that way. The first thing that sticks out to me is, one, the graphics are, in my opinion, terrible compared to what is out there. I feel like this is being made by a B studio, where they didn't secure the rights, in image and likeness rights to any of the actual actors in this movie or in this game. And when I first heard Thor talk in a non-Australian accent, I was highly upset. But no, I think the gameplay is actually really good. It's actually solid from a gameplay perspective. It's fun to play with the characters in a different way. Like Iron Man was super cool, going around and just zapping everybody with his hands in his chest. So yeah, I mean, I think it has potential. I'm looking forward to purchasing the whole game and doing some cooperative play.
How about you, Brad? You played it too, right?
Yeah, I only got through the like opening mission on the Golden State Bridge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely thought that was enough to formulate a few opinions, and I agree. I think it was kind of sloppy visually, and the transitions were occasionally a little sloppy. Gameplay wise, each character felt a little different, but not crazy different. And I thought the most fun character to play with right off the bat was Widow. Like the fight you had with Widow and Taskmaster in that opening scene was the best part of that opening. I had a lot of trouble controlling Hulk for some reason, and like the wall crawl, the like
you can't handle the strength.
I had a lot of trouble with that mechanic. Like it just felt sloppy, and then the throwing cars and stuff. But I agree. Crystal Dynamics is actually one of the better like game productions. Like they've done some good work. So like expectations are for sure high, which probably is a reason there's a little bit of disappointment with seeing that beta. But I mean, I think they have plenty to clean up. I think that co-op is probably going to be the most fun, just like any game. And as far as like likeness rights and stuff goes, I'm pretty sure they were not trying to dive too heavy into the models of the movie universe. They were trying to like do their own thing a little bit. Like you could see some influence from the movie characters, especially in Bruce Banner. But the rest of it, I think they're trying to be in their own universe of characters.
So Crystal Dynamics is a AAA studio. They made all the amazing Tomb Raider games that came out in the last couple of years. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying visually. They didn't use the movie characters or the movie looks, but they made them pretty similar to the point where you're like, you know, that meme where it's like, hey mom, can we get this? And they're like, no, we have this at home. It's the like off-brand version.
Store version.
Yeah, visually, you know, it doesn't look like a next gen. In this case, though,
it's like going for Lucky Charms and then getting the off-brand Lucky Charms.
That's literally exactly what he just said.
Yeah, no, but the utter disappointment though that like it's not even an off-brand that like works well.
No,
like
no, you
I
don't
can get off-brand Cheerios and I can get.
That's literally what he just said.
No, it's like you're getting you want Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but you're getting off-brand Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
It's like you're getting Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
There's some
but
off-brands that are actually good, though.
It's a whole fruit brand.
There is off-brands that are actually good, though.
Sure.
It's like you ordered a Coke and got a big K.
I'm an RC Cola guy.
But
yeah, you take that back.
So I think you should have played a little bit more.
Sure.
Because
the beta ended.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, everybody's got so much time in a day. That's the point of the show. But the other characters, when you're playing as them, you unlock more of their skill trees and more of their combos, and it really changes it up. So, like, I really liked playing as Kamala Khan. I almost said Kamala Harris. Kamala Khan, because her in video games and in media, like I know her from the comic books, but you haven't really seen her a whole lot, and she can make herself big and stretchy. She's like a combination of Mr. Fantastic and like kind of the Hulk, not really, but anyway.
Yeah, someone stronger.
She moves like Spider-Man because she like shoots her arm out into the air and grabs and swings, but she can smash everything. She's really fun to play as. But Iron Man's combos are really cool because you can switch between, like, it's kind of like you're switching your fighting style like in a different type of game. So you can switch between repulsor technology, laser beam technology, or like missiles. And his moves in the game are ripped, like animations 100% from the movie. So there, I forget which movie it is, but like he flies in and lands on his knees. It's like slides on his knees and shoots this way. Or like in one of the fight scenes, Iron Man's like spins behind his back and shoots behind his back. It's exactly like the movies are the combos in the game, which is really cool. It makes playing as him very fun. So it is a beat 'em up type game. Yes, I agree. It's going to be more fun with your friends. Honestly, from the beta, I'm not. It did not get me excited. I played it to experience it, and then I went back to playing Destiny 2. I hope it gets more polished. Spending more time with the game. I think, I bought it, so I'm gonna have to play it. I'm gonna review it, but I'm not like jacked. The only reason I'm actually even gonna play it is because it's Marvel, right? 100%. Like that's pretty much and all the other Marvel games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance and the X-Men Legends, those games were really fun. So we'll see what happens.
I'm not even going to go that far. I mean, unless they have updates like, I mean, the graphics thing really got me, and it's not really the image and likeness that I really want to get like bogged down on, because you can get past that stuff. But with all the hardware that's coming out, that's going to be released in the next few months, like that game should look better. And I did the beta on PC just to see if it would look better than what it was on Xbox, and it wasn't. It was almost the exact same quality, and I'm like, it's a little weird. So if there's not an improvement there, I don't know if I'm even going to waste the money on it.
Did you play the beta for free?
Yeah.
Oh, they had to buy the game to play it, so that's what I did.
No, the beta was early access.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oops. But you reminded me.
2 rounds of beta?
Yeah, there were a couple different rounds of beta. They are making the game Destiny-like it's not a looter shooter like Destiny, it's a looter brawler. So like you're going to be upgrading your armor over time. There's, after you max out your level, there's going to be end game stuff and content and raids to do with your friends, and it's a game of service. So they're going to keep continually adding more and more and more to the game to keep you playing it for a long time. I am interested in that. I really like that style of game. Fortnite pioneered it, and Destiny is one of the most unique ones, biggest ones right now. That part seems like it's going to be pretty cool if they get it all right.
And depending on who we get, we already know that we're not getting Spider-Man unless you're on PlayStation. Oh. And then Xbox's first character is Hawkeye. So like not a great runner-up.
Every childhood's favorite character.
So we'll see. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement, and I definitely feel like they could and should probably delay, just like some big titles are doing right now. But they're past that point at this point. They're past that. But they should, because it felt like it needed more time. September 4th, right? Something like that. Early September.
Yeah, it's next month for sure.
Yeah,
it's really early in September.
Sure. It'll be hard for me to want to pull the trigger. There's a lot of money that I'm going to spend on shit coming up here in the next few months. So
you spend money on shit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're talking like releases of stuff, you have, not only do you have Xbox coming out, you have
and PlayStation.
You
it's
also
sports game season, bro.
You got sports games, but you have Nvidia coming out with their newest like flagship hardware coming out in the last 2 years. So, it's going to be time to upgrade the old PC graphics card and really see what we can do. And so I'm talking like there's like $1,500 of hardware coming out.
That's what savings accounts are for.
All right. Looks like the beta is shut down. I wanted to check and see if it was still working.
They're trying to make it look better. So I guess this week is a kind of a Marvel versus DC week, because the other stuff that I checked out for So what I checked out this week was the DC has an animated universe that, even though their like live action movies are hit or miss, mostly miss, their animated movies are usually bangers. So there's like 50 animated movies that they
Plus,
started, yeah, way more since 2004. A lot of them are like individual stories, like Superman Red Sun is based off the comic book. It's just like a one shot where Superman, instead of landing in Kansas, lands in Russia, and like what would happen. It's like a what if Superman was raised as a Russian communist. It's a good story. It's a good movie, but it's a solo thing. But like 20 or 30 of the movies are connected. So you start at one point and they kind of follow the same story thread throughout all of them. And I've watched like 8 of them in the last 2 weeks. There's a heavy story arc of Batman and his son Damian Wayne, who was a son he didn't know about, raised by the League of Assassins, and then like he meets him when he's like 12, 12,
was he
13.
was he his son or his grandson?
It's his son.
Okay, I thought it was grandson for a long time.
Yeah, so he's trained to be like the new Ra's al Ghul and an assassin, and he's Batman's son. Batman takes him in and trains him to be Robin. It's really interesting. So I'm watching all these movies, and I definitely think that they're worth your time if you like DC and you want to see some good DC content, or if you like the DC comic books. Because HBO, if you have HBO Now or whatever it's called, has
Our sponsor this week.
HBO Now. Give us money, please. Please.
Money,
Now.
please.
Ding, 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 ding.
It's easier if you give her the money.
So yeah, HBO has the DC section on the page, so they got all these animated movies. It doesn't have everything, and if you want to watch them in order, like you're gonna have to either rent them from Amazon or download them in other ways that you may or may not know how to download.
Well, DC started their own Sphere thing too, right? That was the big reveal with all the new stuff.
But they're getting rid of it, I thought. Like all
I
the
don't
stuff
know.
that was on their own
I
streaming
don't pay enough
service.
attention.
Yeah, it's coming to HBO. HBO's
okay.
killing it. So yeah, just Google DCU animated movies. I can't really review them all because there's so many of them, but I would say that they're worth your time. Specifically the Batman ones. I mean, there's even one. There's a comic book. It's Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book is absolutely amazing, and you should definitely read it. But they made it into a movie, and the movie's good too. What?
I'm just really glad you brought that up because it has to do with what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, so I wasn't going to get into it, but I'll do it real quick so you go and read the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic book. Basically, the original way the comic book was written, in which the cartoon was based off of, the cartoon changed the origin story, but the original origin story is that Master Splinter was a human and the Shredder was a human. They're like in feudal Japan, and they were in a clan, and the Shredder took it over and made it into a clan of mercenaries. So Master Splinter leaves. And so Shredder's jealous because he's a better samurai than he is, or he's a better ninja than he is. So he murders his wife and he murders his 4 sons in front of him. And with his dying breath, he like curses the Shredder and like just prays to the gods to get revenge on him someday. And then he's reincarnated as a rat, and his 4 sons are reincarnated as a turtles, and they get the ooze, and then they become, Master Splinter and the 4 turtles. And then the Shredder comes back because he kind of froze himself through dark magic and time, and comes back with the Foot Clan. It's so good. It's amazing. Read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. I love them. Anyway, also check out the movies. Definitely worth your time. And then as one last thing that I checked out this week that I did review, there's a movie on I Know You're Dying, Brad. You're next. You're coming. It's coming up.
I'm good.
I like magic. I'm a big fan of magic. I used to do close-up magic back in the day. Still do a little stuff here and there.
Show us. We're live, right?
Yeah, no, maybe.
Show us some magic.
All right. Let me review this movie real quick. So there's a movie that came out on Disney Plus called Magic Camp. It's definitely a kids movie, but
Is that starring Adam DeWine?
Devine.
Devine, excuse me.
I don't know.
It's whatever. I confused his name with the governor of Ohio.
Yeah, you did. It's him and Jillian Jacobs from Community. Britta. They are like counselors at a magic camp, but it's about this kid whose like dad died and wanted him to do magic, and it's a movie basically for magicians or anybody who likes magic. It's not a great movie. I mean, I don't know. Your kids might like it, I guess. It's cute. It's a Disney movie. It's like one of those
I mean, the
Disney Channel movies.
The cast is decent too.
Yeah, Jeffrey Tambor's in it, and he's always great.
Yeah, but his career is almost over too.
He's good in the movie, but I know what you mean. But you remember those like Disney Channel movies, like Smart House and stuff like that?
I love those movies.
It's one of those.
My stepsister from Planet Weird. For some reason, it's something
Johnny Tsunami.
So if you like that,
bro, it's Shakespeare.
That's what you're getting.
Shakespeare?
Yep, the Shakespeare of Disney movies.
I'm in.
Disney Channel movies.
I'm gonna watch it.
Don't watch it.
Don't do it.
I don't know. For everybody,
just watch it so you can judge Sauce for it.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. But if you like magic, a 3 out of 5.
Well, we'll see how much we like magic. Show us a trick.
All right, I do have a deck of cards right here. Let me try something. Hummer. I've got a deck of 52 cards here. Okay. I want you to imagine that you're taking one card out of the deck, turning it the other direction. But before you do, show it to everybody. Tell us what you have. What's your card?
I can't tell you what I have.
Yeah, you got to tell us. It's not that kind of trick.
Oh,
it's that kind of trick where he has all the information.
It's the Ace of Spades.
Of course. Everybody picks the Ace of Spades. Now, you have the opportunity. Do you want to use the Ace of Spades or do you want to change your mind?
Ooh. I want to change my mind.
Okay. What card would you like to pick?
The 2 of Spades.
Ooh.
Big change.
One worse than the Ace of Spades. So the 2 of Spades. Okay. Now imagine you're taking it, turning it over, and you're putting it back in the deck. Ooh. That looked good for my screen. The 2 of Spades. All right. I don't know if you can see with the shadow here, but I got all these cards here, but there is one card out of all these cards turned around, and the one card is 2 of Spades. You did it.
We're in. All right, Magic Camp. We're watching it.
I hope I awake something. I wanted to awake something in you. So there's a part in the movie where the kid's like playing around with cards, and that's pretty much what I do at work all day. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys this week. How about you, Brad?
So I'm really glad that you brought up animation and stuff, because I recently watched a couple of anime shows that I really wanted to talk about. But
well,
I really
that's all we got time for this week.
Man,
don't you stand on top of my medium like that. And your mind's gonna get blown in a minute here from my notes that I got sitting over here. So first of all, with anime in general, the studios are really coming down on piracy really hard right now. So it's kind of hard to view content right now. There are good ways to do it. Crunchyroll's got a lot of content. Funimation, definitely the leaders. They get you the simulcast stuff, so it's everything's current, especially with the big shows. And they do have some originals as well. Hulu's got a really nice library as well, and they have some of the bigger names in simulcast, like My Hero, One Punch Man, like all that stuff's going to be more current. But I really wanted to talk about what Netflix is doing with anime, because they are throwing big money at anime right now. They are producing over 50 plus titles in the works for anime right now, and based off comic books and things like that. And there's a few that we got recently that I tuned into that were really good. One of them, season 4, just dropped. Yes.
Can you, for our not hardcore, for our casual listeners, explain the difference between animated and anime?
So, I mean, really, it's just kind of where it comes from, really. I mean, anime is definitely a style. You could say it's a style of animation and storytelling. A lot of them are very comic booky. I mean, they're based off of comic books mostly. There's comic book mediums that get drawn into animated stories.
But it's generally considered like heavily Japanese, right?
Japanese and Korean too. Korea, you get a lot of studios from Korea right now.
Well, that's it.
As well. You don't like the Koreans, but like Netflix is really invested in this medium right now because, like, I don't know how many people you talk to that are the decade beneath us, so people in their like 20s and late teens right now. But anime is a big medium there, and it doesn't have the same stigma that a lot of us would put on it with the type of people that watch it. It's really big. I mean, Netflix right now has put out an original Pokemon series. They have a Ghost in the Shell series that they did. They did Ultraman. They did Voltron. They
had Voltron series is dope.
Yeah, and they've done a few that are really manga or comic book based, really. Dorohedoro is one really big one, and then the two that I watched, which are the 7 Deadly Sins and Canon Busters. So both of the series are big comic books over there. They dropped season 4 of 7 Deadly Sins over this last month. I think it was early in August that it dropped, and they dropped a individual movie that was an original as well as the new season. And it's actually gone through 2 different studios of production as well. So it's the last 2 seasons we got were a little different from the first 2 seasons, but it's all this original storyline that's basically a 3,000-year-old race war in a fictitious version of England. And it's between the goddess race, the demon race, the fairy race, the giant race, and the human race. And it's a war that's been going on for about 3,000. Yeah. And
we're the worst.
So it's a shonen style anime, which I for the longest time thought was like a studio that made anime. I recently have discovered that shonen means 15, which is the target audience for the animes. So that wasn't like a great thing for me to figure out or hear about as a 32-year-old. Definitely wasn't like the greatest thing. It really feeds into how you guys feel about everything I'm talking. But to that point, here's what I'll say. Don't you entertain the smaller children with loud noises and bright colors? So aren't fireworks just really irresponsible toys for babies? Yeah, that's my thought. Very irresponsible, but basically you're being the same level of entertainment as a baby by those fireworks. Just really irresponsibly.
I'm convinced.
Anyways, so I mean, it does have its issues, being that it's from another culture. Like the humor is a little perverted, and by a little perverted I mean a fair amount of perverted, and by a fair amount of perverted I mean excessively perverted at times. So you kind of have to like look past that almost a little bit, which like for me is cringy and makes me feel weird. But like I just don't. I look the other way, which is terrible. It's 2020, so I look the other way when bad things are happening.
Very, very tolerant.
Thank you. It's toxic masculinity at its finest.
Nice.
So, being that it's in Britannia, you do get King Arthur as a character. You do get Merlin as a character, but as some weird, sexy, ageless mage. It's and like
what are you telling me about?
Yeah,
we were joking about talking about porn.
So I mean, the show's really great, and like it's based on escalation of character development, basically, and they tell you a story in the present, but then develop characters through flashback, which leads you to understand the choices that they make through character development. And I don't know, it's real. It's the story's escalated to a really solid point where we are at season 4 right now. I'm not going to talk too much about the story because there's lots of twists and turns and characters and things like that. And lots of people losing their memory and lots of dying, but most of the characters seem have immortality. Like my 2 favorite characters are Meliodas and Bon, but they're both immortal. And I love their relationship because like they separate them a lot, but then when they see each other, they act like they have like a giddy like reunion, like a schoolgirl level reunion where they like start high-fiving each other a bunch of times and like they're going crazy. And then it always devolves into a fist fight where one of them kills the other one, but they both survive because they're immortal. And it's really funny to watch. Like one time they start an arm wrestling competition that destroys an entire mountain. But it's just like it's very comical. But I mean, there's also a social commentary to it where like the main group of characters comes from every race and they're all tolerant of each other, whereas all the other individualized races that only hang out with themselves hate the other races and they're fighting them, and mostly everyone's fighting the demons because they're evil and want to kill everybody. But everybody has their own hatred of everyone except for this group of the 7 deadly sins because they come from everywhere. So it's social commentary on the effect of like getting to know people with other perceptions and walks of life in order to further understand how we can all coexist. So social commentary for the win. FT dubs from an anime. It happens.
You flaming liberal.
Yes. Yep.
How dare you?
So I mean, it's definitely
preaching tolerance to me.
It only has its anime audience, this one for sure. So for non-anime fans, I give it a 1 out of 5. But for anime fans, I think it's a 4 out of 5. It fits with all the other shonen styles, the One Pieces, the Narutos. Like if you like all those, you're gonna enjoy 7 Deadly Sins. Please do.
I want to know your ratings for someone who doesn't watch anime but doesn't know if they like it or not.
Oh.
So as to your question about for newer anime fans, something like 7 Deadly Sins is like a decent starting off point for that style, but there are others I would recommend first, for sure. Like I think 7 Deadly Sins is probably something more for the accustomed anime fan. And even then, I don't think it's for the entire anime base. I just enjoyed it a lot for what it does. But the other one I really want to talk about because it's so good is a Netflix original called Canon Busters, which comes to us from the living legend of LaShawn Thomas, who most people know as who gave us the Boondocks, is one of his biggest credits. He was a co-director of that. He also worked on The Legend of Korra, which is currently in Netflix's top 10, has been since they introduced it. You could see a lot of his style in the animation, especially in the fighting. That's why the fight scenes are so improved from what they were in The Last Airbender. But some other things he did, I mean, he's got credits out. His credits are crazy. He did Black Dynamite. He worked on Kim Possible, Lizzie McGuire, Ben 10, The Batman, Batman the Brave and the Bold, Green Lantern First Flight, Superman and Batman Public Enemies. He wrote the latest iteration of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book that you were kind of referencing earlier. And he has 2 original comic books that have been picked up, both by Netflix. The first one being Canon Busters that we're going to talk about. And then the other one's called Yakusuke, which is a really old tale of an American samurai in Japan, I think. A black samurai, especially, because he's a black man. He's born in like 79. He's from like the Bronx or Brooklyn. This is a guy who, like, I'm telling you, in 40 years, we're going to put him in the same category as Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. He is amazing. His work is incredible. He's already done so much. He's the first American producer to be hired as an in-studio producer in Korea. So like that's how respected he is over there. And his content is great that we get over here as well. So Canon Busters is very much like Cowboy Bebop meets Trigun. It's very much like an outlaw, Old West sci-fi style. It's just way more gritty than Trigun was, and take the acid jazz out of Cowboy Bebop and introduce hip-hop. And it's got way more of that flair. There's this A story that's teased throughout the first season, but they don't really cover it. It's just kind of like, this is the real story, but we're going to focus more on developing these characters, because the main character is this outlaw named Philly the Kid, which is an awesome name. And he drives around this big car that's a transformer, but it only works. It's coin operated like an arcade game, and it has graphics of an arcade game, but it transforms into this big fighter robot that is coin operated. It's hysterical. And he's introduced like he's immortal, and that's his shtick. Every time he dies, he gets a number tattooed on him for how many times he dies. And when we meet him, he's already on 23. So he's not even a great outlaw. He's not like the most skilled or anything like that. He just like gets killed and then plays dead until people aren't paying attention to him anymore, and then he kills everybody. It's pretty great. But he gets introduced into this A story by these two naive robots that come up to him, and this female robot named Sam who wants to hire Philly to help him save this kingdom that's in trouble for the A story that just gets teased out. But it's so well written. The characters are so diverse. The action is intense. I really recommend it. I think it's a 5 out of 5 for anime fans, a 3 out of 5 for non-anime fans. If you like comic books, it's so in that area. And this is a better introduction because it's not as kid anime. It's very much more adult, like the Cowboy Bebops of the world. It's really great, and I can't wait to see more from LaShawn Thomas because he's amazing.
You did, yeah. You've definitely sold me on checking out his work.
Yeah,
I mean, anime usually though, so I'm.
I totally get it. It's a medium that not everyone's into, but like you feel the American side of him present in his anime, and his character design is crazy sometimes. Like I have a lot of respect for what he does, and I'm telling you, man, in 20, 30 years, he's going to be up there with all the greats.
So that's what we thought was worth sinking your time into this week. If you've got some suggestions for us, hit us up on the social medias at Timesink Pod, and check us out on your favorite podcast app, device, medium, Spotify,
whichever
Apple
one you
Podcasts.
use. Just download it on all of them, just to be sure.
Yeah, that would really help us out, especially if you're on Apple. Leave us a review, hopefully a good one. That's it for this week, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye, video.